What's up, guys? It's Jay, MorninAfterKill, and I'm back here on my road to 30. This is a series that I do on my channel where each week we take 1 year of my life and we talk about the memories and significant events that have come to shape the person that I am today. And right now, I am 29 motherfucking years old. By the time this series is done, I will be 30 motherfucking years old. And this is episode 27, which means that's right, I am 27 motherfucking years old in this episode. And last episode, we left off with my buddy who accidentally did one of the most significant things in my life that he could actually do for me. And he blurted out in front of my girlfriend that I needed a place to stay, that I was looking for an apartment, and that we should move in together. Now, I was only with my girlfriend for around 6 months at that time, and I was still getting over the death of my fiance while still being with her, and she was actually really supportive. I just didn't know if our relationship was at that point to where I should be like, hey, you know, we should move in together. But my buddy, unbeknownst to me, he didn't know that we weren't at that point in a relationship, and he saw us as a serious couple because we were hanging out all the time. And, you know, she was a little bit older than me. She's about 20 years older than me, and that's not a big problem with me or anybody that I know. But, you know, I didn't know if she was trying to take this as just a fling with a young guy or if she was actually interested in a real relationship. And it turns out that she was actually really cool with the idea of me moving in. And not only did I move in with her, but it also got me out of the hood. And I really do owe a debt of gratitude to my friend. Even though he didn't know what he was doing, it led to me getting out of the hood once and for all, and also being with the woman that I love today, and I can't thank him enough. And once he does get out of jail, I will do everything in my power to try to help him not only get off the crack for once and for all, but stay the fuck out of jail, because he's been in like 2 or 3 times within like the last 5 or 6 years, which is you know, that's not a very good thing. So once he does get out, I am gonna try everything I can to fucking help him out, because I feel like I owe him that debt of gratitude. But this episode is actually going to start at the end of last episode, which is going to be around 2008. And it's the end of the year. And you guys know what happened at the end of the year in 2008. That's right! The Phillies went on a hot streak. And they blazed their way to the World Motherfucking Series. And this is the first time that I'm actually able to be in my hometown area with Philly to play a home team championship game in my life. And this is actually going to be a really huge memory, because I remember it was game 5 and Phillies had a chance of winning it in Philly that night. So me and all my friends, we went down to Philly to tailgate, and we were hanging out, drinking some beers, and it started dog piss raining all night long, and they ended the game early because the whole infield was motherfucking flooded, so we all had to end up going home. But 2 days later, they would end up finishing the game, and my friends would call me right around the bottom of the 8th. The Phillies were up. I'm pretty sure it was like 4-3, 5-4. Don't quote me on that. But my friends were like, dude, we're in Philly right now, and the Phillies are about to win a championship. It's the first championship of my team. I am a die-hard Philly fan, and I have never got to see my team win a world championship ring. And they were like, dude, you gotta get down here right the fuck now. I hopped in my car, my Camaro Z20 motherfucking 8 that I showed you doing a burnout last episode, and I did 120 miles, I'm not even lying, 120 miles an hour the entire way down 95 to get to Philly. And I got there, I shit you not, in a matter of about like 10 minutes. And Philly, and from my area that I was staying at the time, was probably about like a 25-minute ride. And I got there super motherfucking fast. And I pulled up, I got off on Frankfurt and Cottman, and it was a total mob scene. There was people hanging from street lights. Bitches were getting hit in the face with bottles. I mean, bitches were showing their titties. There was drunk people all over. People sitting on the corners smoking weed. I pulled up to the red light. I couldn't even get on the Cottman. That whole area was shut down by police riot squad. So I had to go ahead and make a left over there into the fucking little row houses and park my car. But before I did, at the red light right on Frankfurt, about 2 blocks away from Cottman, right at the red light. Everybody's just sitting there partying and walking down the street. I revved up my motor and people started, they started moving their hands around in that circular motion. They want to see it. They want to see, that's right. Right at the red light, cops all over the place. I didn't give a fuck. My team has just won a world fucking championship, and I lit it up right there. Just fucking tires screeching, smoke everywhere. People are all cheering and shit. Bitches walking by, slapping the hood and shit. I'm like, hey! Get off of my motherfucking hood, bitch. Nah, I didn't say that because they're bitches. They got titties. And bitches with titties can get on car hoods. I'm not against that. I am 100% fine with bitches sliding up on my motherfucking hood as long as they show me their motherfucking titties. So anyway, I fucking park my car. We go up into a bar right over there on Cotman. It's like a little fucking Irish pub. And we're fucking drinking all night long. We're partying. The bar was passing beers around and we didn't even pay for these. People were just passing beers back and forth over heads and shit. We're grabbing. I got like 3 beers in my hand. I'm fucking partying, have a good time. They even gave away these little signs that have the Budweiser on it. It's like fucking Phillies, go Phillies, World Series. They handed out like stacks of them to everybody. I grabbed a stack. I thought I was gonna be actually fucking really cool. This is gonna be like an awesome fucking moment inside this bar. And I tossed up the stack into the fucking ceiling fan of the bar, and I thought they were gonna go flying all over and it was gonna be fucking amazing. No! That did not happen. What happened was the actual stack stayed an entire stack, hit the fucking ceiling fan, and went flying across the bar and hit some dude in the fucking forehead. And he was like, ugh, you got all fucking, he didn't give a fuck. He was drunk. And the Phillies just won their first world championship since 1982, 1983. And you remember, that's my entire motherfucking lifetime! Never got to see a goddamn Philly championship until tonight, and we're just fucking hanging out. I mean, they're playing We Are the Champions all over the place. I mean, they were playing Journey, Don't Stop. What is that song? Is that the song? She's a steel town girl living in a lonely world. She took the midnight train going anywhere. Yeah! Streetlight people, they were playing that shit. Fucking, oh my god, it was a great fucking night. Even my buddies, we went back to this girl's house, we were fucking partying, then we decided to fucking go back. I was kinda half kicked in the ass, but I was still good to drive, although I did make a couple stupid decisions that night while driving, like racing my buddy's Subaru Legacy on the highway. Let me tell you, he had a little fast four-banger Legacy Turbo, too. It was a really nice car, and he was like, man, I want to race you, I'm gonna fuck you up, and we lined up, we were like fucking going like 45 miles an hour down the highway, and we were just gonna do a little bit of a road race, and he punched it, I punched it, and I just fucking dusted him. I was gold, and he was like, what? And he fucking pulled up next to me again, and I slowed down, and he's like, alright. I was like, dude, get a running start and come at me. And he's like, alright. So fucking he drops back like 5 or 6 cars and fucking nails it. And as soon as his car touches my front bumper, I fucking nail the gas, and my shit just goes, gone! Dusted him. That night, I made my buddy a believer. I turned him from a 4-cylinder turbo man into a V8 guy overnight. And that's actually going to play in a little bit later on in the future. But that was actually a really cool night. Even going back to Jersey, man, we were real pumped up on the highway. I'm taking the exit ramp. There's a dude going like 35 miles an hour down the exit ramp. I fucking hit the shoulder and I skirt right past him like fucking 60 miles an hour down the exit ramp. These are things you should not do because I've done them. And now that I've done them, I realized you should not do them. So allow me to tell you how awesome it is without you actually going ahead and doing stupid shit like this. I want to put that out there because I don't want to see any of you guys get into an accident doing something stupid. And like I said, I've done some stupid things in the past, and the whole reason that I actually wanted to make this series is because I want to stop people from making the same motherfucking mistakes I did. Or I also want to give you a little bit of a taste of what life is like, kind of different from yours. And that's what I really do love about this series. But anyway, back onto the topic. We had a really good time. The Phillies ended up winning the world championship. Philly would never again get a championship. Even to this day, we have not seen another championship in Philly. And you know what? At least I got to experience one of my favorite teams winning a world championship. But anyway, like I told you guys last episode, I did quit smoking weed because I couldn't find a job, and I did lose my job at that one shop that I was working at for 4 motherfucking days because they said I had the highest THC count that they've ever seen of anybody within like the last 11 years coming into that goddamn fucking lab that they were opening. The girl was working there. She has never seen anybody test that high. So I figured, I gotta get my ass in gear, I'm with a lovely woman who's had a job for the last 25 years, and I'm sitting here kind of feeling like a failure because I'm 27 years old. I don't have a bank account. I don't have any motherfucking money, and the money that I do have isn't very much, and I am living with her at this time, and she is paying majority of the bills, so I kind of feel like I'm freeloading. So I was like, man, I really got to do something and get my ass in gear. So I quit smoking weed. I didn't really go out and party as much as I usually did. And usually when smoking weed, you find yourself, I do concentrate more when I'm high, and it calms me down. It keeps me mellow, and it keeps me from getting into trouble. But the problem is, it also keeps me from doing shit like going out and making money. When you are self-employed, the only type of money you're gonna make is money that you make while you're fucking working. You can't just wait for a goddamn check to show up. It doesn't show up. So, basically, what would happen is I would start smoking weed, and I'd sit down on the couch, and I'd be like, you know what? It's like, 9 in the morning, 10 in the morning. I got time. I'm gonna wait an hour or two, eat some lunch, and then I'm gonna go out to the junkyard, look for some parts, or for a car to flip, car to fix, whatever, And, basically, I would sit down for like an hour, I'd watch a movie, I would chill, and then I'd be like, oh man, it's time for lunch, grab a lunch, and I'm like, man, I should hit the bowl a couple more times before I go. That way I got a nice little edge while I'm fucking cruising down the highway on the way to the fucking junkyard and shit. And basically, I would end up doing that all goddamn day long, and I realized that I am not a very good self-motivator while smoking marijuana. So I decided that it was time to cut it out of my life and get into fucking working and making some real fucking money. And I was actually doing really good on finding some really nice parts of the junkyard to sell on the internet, and also a few good flips. And one of my favorite flips was actually a 1991 Beretta GT. Yes, another Chevy Beretta. The reason I was actually picking up another Beretta is because my Beretta was so faithful to me, and I knew how to work on this car inside and out. So I was like, man, I know I could find a cheap Beretta. I know I could fix it up, make it look pretty good. And I did. I found one in fucking Connecticut. I'm not even joking. In fucking Connecticut. So I tell my girlfriend, I'm like, there's a really nice car for sale that I think I could flip. It's like $700, and it's all the way out in Connecticut. She's like, that's not bad. I could take off work, and we can go take a ride up there, and it'll be a nice little day, me and you hanging out, traveling, going outside of the state, and, just because it's a really nice area in Connecticut when you get past through New York City. We should have actually taken the Tappan Zee Bridge and gone that way, but we actually decided to drive through the motherfucking city. Worst idea in the motherfucking world. On the way up there, we get stuck in traffic in New York City. I'm pretty sure it was somewhere like the Bronx or Brooklyn, somewhere around that area, and we were stuck in traffic for like 3 motherfucking hours, and it was terrible. We were fighting, we were yelling back and forth, and this seems to be a pretty big, like, whenever me and my girlfriend go take a long ride, especially when we went to go see the Z28 and we missed that goddamn exit like 3-4 times, like I told you, man, we were bickering all night long, but, we never actually got into a quote-unquote fight about it. We're just at each other's necks because nobody wants to be stuck in bumper-to-bumper motherfucking traffic in New York City, especially in the goddamn summer. I mean, because then you gotta turn up the AC, and then you're wasting gas, then you turn down you roll the windows down, turn the AC off, and it's hot as motherfucking balls. And New York kind of stinks in some areas. It really does. Even upstate New Jersey, like fucking Newark area and shit. When you're going down 95, you gotta roll your windows up. There is some pretty shitty smelling areas. So anyway, we make it through New York. We get all the way up into Connecticut. And I get there, and the guy shows me the car. I'm like, this isn't the car in the picture. And he's like, what do you mean? This is the car in the picture. And I was like, no, the car in the picture didn't have a cracked motherfucking windshield. And he's like, oh yeah, I forgot to put that in the ad. I didn't mention it over the phone to you. And I was like, nah, bro. I didn't drive all the way out here for a car. Cause even though I do work on cars, fixing a windshield is something that you want to have done by a professional that knows not only how to align it, but also has all the glue and equipment to do it. Cause replacing glass on a fucking front windshield, or even a back windshield, is a real pain in the ass. And I was like, dude, this car is $700. It's gonna cost me $200 to get that goddamn windshield fixed. I'm not paying $900 for this car. And I was like, he was like, alright, yeah, I'll subtract the $200 for the windshield. And I was like, no. This is not how we do it. You told me this car was $700 in the shape that I saw it in the goddamn motherfucking ad. So not only are we taking off $200 for the windshield, but I'm also taking off $100 because you lied to me that the windshield was fine. And he was like, oh man, I can't do that. I can't give this car away for $400. And I've done the age-old trick when you go ahead and buy something off somebody. I was like, took out the money. I was like, look, I got $400. I showed it to him. $400 cash right now. He's like, I can't do it. I folded it up, one hand, put it in my back pocket, and I started walking away. I didn't even make it like 4 or 5 steps after turning around and walking away, and this guy fucking folded. He folded like a card house that you build on your, you know what I'm talking about? You take a deck of cards and you build a little house and a little teepee. It looks like a pyramid. Yes! He folded just like a deck of cards, and I was like, booyah! Grabbed that car, my girlfriend fucking followed me home, and this time, we actually took it all the way home without stopping anywhere else, because I didn't want to get in another motherfucking accident like I did with the RX-7. So this car was actually really clean for a $400 car. It had a brand new rebuilt motor. The only thing is it's been sitting for a while, and it was a really ugly paint scheme. It was maroon on maroon on maroon. That's right. It was triple maroon. It was maroon on the outside, maroon on the inside, and the dashboard itself was all fucking maroon. Not even any black or gray accents in it. It was just fucking maroon. It was maroon as shit. So anyway, like I said, the car was actually pretty clean though. It drove, it was just really ugly looking. So I went through the junkyards and I found a Z26 bumper and back bumper that I would pull off. I would end up sanding that down, priming it up, putting it on the car, and now the car actually had a really cool sporty look. I didn't like the spoiler on the back because the spoiler was cracked, and taking off the spoiler off the trunk lid would have had holes that I would have had to have filled, and I'm lazy like that, so I pulled a trunk lid out off a Beretta that was in the junkyard and gave it a nice little sleek look in the back. I fixed up the taillights, the filler panel in the back. Everything on this car was looking good. It just needed a paint job because it was ugly as a motherfucker. But fate would have it that I would actually find a kid that was looking for a car that was a little bit sporty, good on gas, had a little bit of torque to it, and that's what a Beretta is. These little 6-cylinder cars, they're like a car the size of a Cavalier that have a 6-cylinder, and they handle really well for a little front-wheel drive car too. So I would end up selling this car to this kid for like $1,000 profit. I think it was like $1,400, $1,700 that I sold to this kid. And this kid didn't mind anyway because he was going to paint the car black. So he didn't care about, the trunk lid being a different color or the primer body kit that was on the car. And he was actually really happy with it. And I was actually really happy with that flip, even though I wanted to keep that car because that car ran goddamn good. But you know who wasn't happy about it? That's right. The apartment complex manager was getting complaints. Once again, everywhere I go, I get complaints, but this time it wasn't for being loud. This time, they said it was against the lease for me to keep working on cars outside in their parking lot. And I told him, I was like, look, I'm not doing any fluids out here. I'm not going to fuck up your asphalt. All I did was swap some taillights and a bumper. They're like, rules are rules. You don't do that. And I honestly think that they really just wanted me out of there because my cars that I've had were always typically pretty loud. Even the Beretta I had was pretty loud. It had a little Flowmaster exhaust on the back. It was like, it had that, you know, the standard sloppy 6-cylinder sound, but, you know, it was still a pretty cool car. But we decided that we need to go and look for a place, and my girlfriend's boss actually had a really nice 4-bedroom house. It had a backyard, and he was getting ready to kick the people that were living there out because they weren't paying their rent, and we were gonna move there. However, my girlfriend's friend at the time, who I fucking despise, I hate this bitch with a fucking passion. Like, seriously, if somebody fucking hit her in the face with a 2x4, I would check the 2x4 to make sure it was alright. I didn't like this bitch because she was the type of bitch that was all about money. She was all about looks. And she was like, you know, oh, if you don't have $300 pants, then you're a fucking scrub, and, you know, you're a poor kid from the ghetto and shit. And even the first time that I met her, she came walking up, and she was wearing her fucking, like, $400 glasses, and her long wool, like, fucking, looks like a trench coat on a girl. You know what I'm talking about? Real long, but they don't really button them up. They just kind of keep them hanging there. She came walking up with her fucking, you know, her hair, and she had, like, 5 pounds of fucking makeup on. I'm like, God damn, bitch, if you cracked a smile, you'd literally be cracking a motherfucking smile. Your face would fall off with all that cover-up and foundation, because makeup is just a makeup what you ain't got, bitch. And you know what you ain't got? You ain't got a personality! Fuck you, bitch. And she got an ugly-ass name, too. Her name is Judy. The fuck kind of name is... I hate people named Judy. This bitch... Like, anyway, so this bitch was living in her fucking townhouse. She ended up getting married to some fucking dude, and she couldn't afford the townhouse, even though the townhouse was still on a lease, and she actually had to end up fucking paying for the rest of it. So we decided to do hers. Well, I didn't decide. My girlfriend decided, and like I said, since she was the primary breadwinner in this house, she decided that we would move into this house and help her out by taking over the lease, and we would pay for the house while she was living there. And that way, you know, she could end up her lease with the townhouse. We'd have a pretty nice townhouse. It was really nice there. I mean, it was 2-bedroom, had a hardwood floor in the kitchen, a backyard, a shed, and it was in a really upscale, nice area. And, you know, as much as I hated this bitch, I really didn't mind moving there, because it was really fucking nice. And it was a little bit more expensive to exactly, you know, what we were used to, but with me flipping a little bit of cars, getting a little bit of money in, and my girlfriend, she also made some pretty decent money, we decided that we could actually afford this, that we're gonna get our own first place together, because the place that my girlfriend was living at, that was like her apartment that she lived in for like 9 motherfucking years. Then I come along, and, you know, she decided that we should get a place that was all our own, that has our memories, not just, you know, her place with me living there. So we would end up moving into this house, and I fucking loved it there. Our neighbors were actually really cool. We had, like, Chinese couple that lived next door. They were doctors, so they were never home. And that's actually pretty good, because I'm a loud motherfucker. So if I'm gonna live next to somebody, you either gotta live next to somebody that either can't hear or is never fucking home. And they were never home, so that worked out. And even, like, the people next to them, there were a couple that owned a Dunkin' Donuts. They were an Indian couple, had a couple kids and shit. I actually helped them work on his car a couple times, fix it up. Really cool people, except for this one motherfucking dick. Like, I swear to God, he was literally like, have you ever seen 30 Rock? No, not 30 Rock. Third Rock from the Sun. Have you ever seen that? There's like this old guy with white hair on there, and he's real weird looking, fucking, this is what this guy looks up, and like, he would always knock on the door and be like, you're making too much noise. And the reason I say that is because, like, he had this real posh, like, rich accent type of guy, and he would always come with a glass of wine, and he'd be like, and he would swirl it while he was talking. So you can't see my hand right now, but I'm swirling. Like, he would hold it with 3 fingers, his thumb, his forearm, and his middle finger, and he would have the fucking, like, it was a glass of Cavassier. Like, he was the fucking ladies' man. He's just sitting there underhanded, holding a glass of wine, swirling. He'd come up, he'd be like, yes, let me tell you that your music is too loud. And I'm like, bitch, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I listen to metal. Alright? You want to pay my rent? Go ahead. pay the rent, and then I'll turn my motherfucking metal down. But as long as you ain't paying my motherfucking rent, get the fuck out of my goddamn fucking doorway. Get off my property, bitch. And it actually felt pretty good to be able to, like, say, get off my property. And, he would actually become a fucking real pain in the ass later on. But, you know, not that big of a deal. But I don't know why the glass swirling just stuck in my head. He'd come up and be like, yes. Like, everything. Before he said anything, he's like, yes. Like, bitch, you ain't on fucking Office Space. Yeah, Peter, I'm gonna have to ask you to come in tomorrow on Saturday, and, yeah. Why don't you come on in on Sunday, too? That would be great. Okay? So anyway, fuck that guy. With the extra money that I flipped for a few cars and the money that I was making off selling the parts on the internet, I decided that I wanted a car for myself. Even though I had my Z28, I loved it, but it was a hardtop car. And the only reason I bought it was, number one, I love this car, but it was the only LS1 F-body. You know, F-body is a Camaro or Trans Am, for those of you guys that don't know about cars. You know, it was an F-body car that I really wanted, but it was the only one that I could afford for under $5,000, because these cars still went for like $7-8 grand. I just decided to get a really good deal on one that been sitting, and like I said, I can work on cars, so I did. You know, I took a gamble on it, and it was actually a really cool car. I couldn't bring myself though to cut the top off the car, because these cars have frames that the T-top frame is actually built into the hardtop cars. Every car that's you know, that has a roof on these F bodies were built as T-top cars. But the hardtops, they would actually take a fiberglass piece and mold it over top of the actual T-top frame. So you could cut the fiberglass away, and all the bolt holes and mounting hardware for the T-tops are underneath there, and it's not very hard to do. But like I said, this car was one of 323 ever made, and I couldn't bring myself to cut the top on a car that was that rare. So I decided to sell my car so I could trade up into a nicer version of the car that I actually want. And I remember I paid about $4,500 for that Z28. I mean, I drove it for a year. I took it to the track. I raced it a ton of times. I mean, I had a lot of good memories. I had my fucking World Series memory in that car, but I decided to sell it, and I got an offer from a girl from upstate New York for $6,000, and she came to look at it in the snow and everything. That's not a very good time to come look at a car, but this girl really wanted a car. She came down, gave me my $6,000 for the motherfucking car, and the sad part is a year later, she would end up wrecking the car, driving it in the rain with drag radial tires on the back, and yeah, she would actually end up sending me an email and sending me photos of that car wrecked, and I was actually pretty sad about that. I was like, man, I could have lived my entire life without knowing that you wrecked that goddamn car. Why would you show this to me? You know? Like, seriously, why would you want to make me sad? So I had about $7,000 in cash left to go out and find a car that I really wanted. And my girlfriend, like I said, I've been with her for about a year and 6 months now. We've been together for quite a long time now. And my girlfriend, she told me, you know, she felt that I was working hard, that I've had, like, I told her about my past life and all the shit that I've done. And she felt that I deserved to have the car that I want. So she told me to find a car for under 10 grand, and she'll pay for the rest of the car. And I did. I went out and I found the car of my motherfucking dreams. It was a silver 1999 Pontiac Trans Am Ram Air WS6. 6-speed manual, T-tops. I mean, the interior was a little beat up. It had a crack in the bumper. Not a big thing. Like I said, I have experience fixing up cars and doing shit like this. So I actually put up a few pictures on screen right now of the car that I fixed up. The interior that you're gonna see is gonna be after I fixed it up, of course, because it looks pretty good. But I mean, this is the car that I really wanted. I told you there was a couple cars in my in my group of friends that were untouchables, that were ones that we've pined after ever since we were kids. One of them was a Z06, another one was an RX-7, and the other one was a Pontiac Trans Am Ram Air. And this car was absolutely fucking perfect. It had a 9-inch Ford rear in it. I mean, that's like a $4,000 rear alone, especially, because they have to be custom fabricated, because Ford rears don't come in a goddamn Pontiac / Chevy, So, anyway, I mean, it had stainless coupe headers on it. It already had the lid on it. I went out and bought an LS6 intake for it. I mean, this car was exactly what I fucking wanted. Except it was in Florida. So I actually talked to the kid. He got me photos and pictures of it. Then he got me a goddamn, video of the car starting up and, looking at the gauges, showing the fucking oil pressure and shit, making sure that it's running for like 10, 15 minutes without smoking or dying or chugging. You could pretty much, I looked at this car over the internet on fucking YouTube, and I told him 3 days later, I sent him a $300 Western Union money order, and he was like, "What's that?" I was like, "That's my gas money. Bring my car up here." And I sent him a picture of the rest of the money. I actually still have a picture of the money, and he was like, "Alright." 3 days later, he came up, and I had my dream car, except, there's like a bag of garbage in the back goddamn seat, because he ate his way all the way up the goddamn fucking eastern coastline. I'm not even lying. There is Arby's bags. There is fucking Wendy's bags. There is fucking Carl Jr.'s fucking Hardee's. Like, I was like, Jesus Christ, what did you do? Eat all $300? He's like, yeah, pretty much. And he was a little kid, too. He was, like, real skinny, real fucking tiny. And I was like, damn, man, where the fuck did you pack it? You didn't take a shit in the car, did you? And he's like, no. So everything was really fucking perfect right now. I'm just hanging out with my friends. We're going to tons of shows. I'll go to the Starland Ballroom like once, twice a month to go see a show. There's actually a time when I saw like OTEP and Hatebreed like 3 or 4 times within like a 3 or 5, 6 month span in this time. And that was actually pretty cool, because we would end up going to the House of Blues in Atlantic City. We would go there a little bit early, do a little bit of gambling at the blackjack tables, and I'm actually pretty good at blackjack. I do have a photographic memory, like I said, so it's very easy for me to know when to bet on the goddamn chips, and when to fold, not fold, but when to stay, make sure I don't take another card, because that next card might be a fucking bust card, and I don't want to take it, and everybody at the table doesn't want to take the bust card, because you gotta leave it to the dealer to take the bust card, because the dealer is showing underneath a soft 17? Soft 16, I think it is. I think it's hard 17, the dealer has to stay somewhere there or above. But if it's underneath, like if a dealer is showing a 5, you assume that the dealer has a goddamn fucking jack, queen, king, a 10 underneath there. And you figure that if there's fucking, there's not enough face cards showing on the goddamn table, you're like, alright, you know what? There's probably a face card or a really high card up here, which is going to be the dealer's bust card. Take a look at your cards. If I got a 15, I'm not going to hit on a 15. I'm going to let the fucking dealer bust, because why should I take the bust card and have everybody at the fucking table hate me? But anyway, let's stop talking about gambling, because goddamn, I am a bad influence on you guys. Don't try to be me. Don't want you to try to be. I live a terrible life. I'm a terrible human being. So, anyway, we'd actually go to the Atlantic City House of Blues, and we'd go there to see Lamb of God, Hatebreed, and there was a really shitty band that was actually played right before Lamb of God and Hatebreed, and nobody was feeling it. And if you've ever been to a concert and you see a really shitty band play, and you see everybody just kind of standing around, hanging around, no one's moving, no one's throwing up the metal horns, nobody's fucking jumping up in the air, nobody's trying to crowd surf. It's just a real dead fucking crowd when this band was on. Except this band decided to pull out one of the cheapest tricks in the metal book. That's right. For their last song, they're gonna end up playing Rain and Blood by Slayer. Now, it doesn't matter if you're a shitty band. It doesn't matter if you're at a punk show. It doesn't matter if you're at a rock show. Doesn't matter if you're at a rap show. Whenever the beat from Rain and Blood starts, is yeah, whenever that shit starts playing, it just gets in your blood, gets in everybody's blood, and the whole place fucking erupted. It erupted in Slayer appreciation. Now, the shitty part about this is, I'm standing where the mosh pit actually should be, but nobody's actually moving. But now people are moving. I have a $12 goddamn fucking drink in my hand. It's some Captain Morgan's and Coke, and it was actually mostly Captain Morgan's because I was tipping the bartender with chips that I won playing blackjack. And like I said, when you have a pocket full of chips, you don't really give a fuck how much they're worth because they're just fucking plastic. So I was throwing them at him, probably like tipping this guy like $5 for a fucking drink. And he's just loading it up on the captain, and I'm getting fucked up that night. I'm sitting there with my $12 drink, getting fucked up. Slayer starts playing. People start moving. Bodies fly into me. And there goes my $12 drink in the air in slow motion. I watch it. I watch every bit of ice just tumbling in the air as it hits the ground. And it's like slow motion in my head. I'm like, no. But why am I telling you this story about a $12 drink being spilled? Because about like 20 minutes later, Lamb of God would come on. They would have to, do their setup, come out, do their check. They would go, hey yo, check, 1, 2, check, 1, 2. Yeah. That's what they do. That's how they check the mics. It's fucking awesome, actually. They just start saying a bunch of fucking random gibberish into the mic. Sometimes a fucking couple half-ass fucking metal screams. And it's all done by the roadies. So they're up there having a little bit of fun. People are fucking throwing cups at them and shit. It's a fucking standard fucking metal show, So anyway, Lamb of God comes out. And they fucking start out with Laid to Rest. And if you've ever heard Lamb of God Laid to Rest, it starts out with just fucking really fucking hard. And this is a great song for a band that's as good as Lamb of God to just come out and just the whole place just fucking erupts. And everybody's pushing everybody, and I'm standing in the mosh pit area because I like to be in the mosh pit. I like to push bitches around. I like to fucking run into bitches. And so my buddy, he's standing there, and I fucking, dude, I feel it. I feel it in my veins. The fucking crowd starts moving. I push my buddy and try to start a mosh pit. He goes like 3 steps back, and he steps on the ice in the puddle of my $12 drink. And I shit you not, he does a whole Michael Jackson moonwalk on the ice. Like 4 feet back, he's like, whoop. He looked like Gumby in reverse. He's just like sliding along the floor. His arms are like, whoa. And this motherfucker falls back, hits the ground. Fucking people help him up because that's how it is at a metal show, alright? If your brother or sister falls down, pick him up and pick him up without copping a feel. That is how it is at a metal show. Do not stomp somebody on the ground inside the pit. If somebody falls out of the pit, you do what you gotta do to stop the pit and get that person up, because somebody can seriously get fucking hurt, and that's not what metal is fucking about. So, anyway, we would end up fucking having a blast that night. I would sneak up into the upper deck of the House of Blues. There's people up there fucking hitting a bowl, and I was like, you know what, why not? I was like, fucking, they're like, you wanna hit this? I was like, hell yeah. Sitting up there, smoking some good fucking, but they had some really good, like, Cali style weed too, and I was sitting up there, I was like, yeah! It was just a really fucking awesome night. After the show, we'd end up stopping at a blackjack table too, because I was like, man, kind of short on money. I spent like $200, not only at the blackjack table, but on drinks and fucking tipping the goddamn waiter and the waitresses. Big money bowling, just big money bowling. And I sit down at the fucking blackjack table, the cards deal out. I'm sitting there. I've been there for about like 5 to 10 minutes. It was like 20 minutes after the show was done. While I'm sitting there, fucking Jamie Jasta from Hatebreed, the band that I just went to go see, him and the rest of Hatebreed sit down at the goddamn blackjack table that I'm playing at. And I was like, Like, I got this look on my face. Like, I don't get starstruck when I meet fucking people from bands. I've met a ton of fucking musicians in my life. But, you know, this time it was one of my, like, Hatebreed has some really inspirational metal songs. They may sound like it's fucking like devil worship and bullshit. But if you actually take the time to read their lyrics, you'll realize that they are very motivational. And Hatebreed has become a very big part of my life, especially with their music, because it's got me through a lot of rough times. And I was literally, for the first time in my life, like, I had a shit-eating goddamn Kool-Aid smile on my face. And I was like, I did the nod across the table with my head, and he nodded back, and I was like, yo, Jamie. And he was like, what's up? It's like, just caught your show. Good job. And he's like, gave me the metal horns and shit. I was like, alright, that's pretty cool. And you're not allowed to take pictures on the goddamn floor of a casino. They will kick you out for that because they're thinking you're trying to spy on what the dealers are doing, or you're trying to get a little bit of a fucking edge. But, my buddy actually kind of on the sly whipped out his phone and took a picture of them at the blackjack table that I was sitting at. And I still actually have a picture of this, but the only thing you'll see of me is the back of my motherfucking head. So you don't get to see it. You don't get to see my face! Respect my privacy, motherfucker. So, anyway, fucking, like, dude, this night is fulfilled. My buddy, who actually caught one of Hatebreed's drumsticks at that show, goes up to the fucking cash booth, borrows a Sharpie, and actually gets Hatebreed to sign it. That was actually really cool of them, for them, you know, while they're playing blackjack, to stop, talk to a few fans, fucking, you know, sign the goddamn shit. But you know what? I didn't need anything signed. I don't want nothing signed. I am playing blackjack with one of the bands that got me through some of the roughest times in my goddamn life. And, you know, even though I'll probably never meet Jamie Jasta again, he'll probably never see this video, but you know what? Jamie Jasta, that night, it meant more to me than he'll ever know. And that was, you know, it's something that I get to take to the motherfucking grave, you know? It was just a really awesome coincidence that happened that night. And, you know, I'll never forget that experience. I never will. But, talking about another experience I'll never forget. On the way home from Atlantic City that very night, it was a little rainy out, it was a little misty. If you ever been to New Jersey, you know what I'm talking about. It looks like it's raining, but it's not really raining, but there's water in the air, but it's not really falling. It's just kind of floating along, you know? It's just, everything is misted with this awesome mist of cool midnight fucking air. And, you know, we're on our way home, and we seen a Jeep Grand Cherokee just fly fucking by, and we're like, holy shit, that car must have been doing like 100 miles an hour. It was going fucking fast, because we were doing like, what was it, like 70, 75 miles an hour? She just blew past us, and we watched the fucking taillights, and we see it, the taillights start swerving and swerving, and we're like, is she getting off on the exit ramp? I didn't think the exit ramp was for like another half hour. No! This bitch drove off the fucking road after hitting a big ass puddle, and she hydroplaned like 2 lanes over and fucking flipped her car into a goddamn ditch. That's right. This crazy night ends up with me, a few friends, and a guy in a white Lincoln Cadillac that stopped, who happened to have, I'm not even lying, high waiter, chest high boots for fishing in his white Lincoln. Like, he had white leather. Like, this guy looked like a pimp. Came out with his suit on. He had some gaiters on and shit. I'm like, oh shit, look at this motherfucker in the Lincoln. Pulls out some fishing boots. Where the fuck was she running from him? Was this motherfucker gonna go throw her? I have no fucking clue. So, anyway, we climbed out of the ditch. Like I said, it was a little bit misty, so the ditch is a little bit muddy. You know, I'm fucking climbing on the side of the goddamn ditch. And I'm like, hey! Hey! Are you alright? This bitch rolls the window down, and she goes, hold on, I'm on the phone. What? Get the fuck off the phone, bitch! You are upside down in a ditch. You have experienced an automobile accident. You need help. And she was like, alright girl, I gotta go. These motherfuckers are yelling at me through the window. I'm like, this fucking bitch, right? So anyway, I'm like, alright, we're gonna get you out of there. I need you to unbuckle your seatbelt. Well, I didn't think this bitch had a lot of experience being upside down in a car, because she fucking hits the seatbelt. Boom! Her fucking head hits the goddamn fucking roof. Like, you think, alright, I'm gonna undo this seatbelt. Maybe I'm gonna grab onto the window frame or something. Nah, this bitch just fucking, boop, undone, head hit the roof. I was like, god damn. No wonder why this bitch just drove off the goddamn road into a ditch. So I started climbing down there. I looked and I'm like, oh god damn, you know, I'm gonna have to climb on top of this car. That car has fucking hot ass exhaust pipes and shit. I'm like, I'm not trying to do this shit. So I'm like, look, climb out the window. Shimmy out the window. I'll grab your hand and I'll drag your ass up this muddy hill. I can't. I'm scared. Somebody help. And the dude with the Lincoln, with the long boots, he starts walking down there, and his boot starts getting stuck in the mud, and he fucking pulls back up, walks up the ditch, takes his big-ass high-wheeler boots, and he's like, yeah, fuck this, man. He just got in his car and left. He ain't trying to hear nothing about it. He ain't trying to help her. So anyway, fucking state trooper ends up fucking pulling up, and they would end up climbing on top of there, and fucking end up having to physically pull this bitch out of the car because she was too scared to try to climb out the goddamn fucking window. And I was like, you know what? That is the last time that I'm ever gonna stop and try to help somebody that drives into a motherfucking ditch. Because this bitch was still on the cell phone while she was upside down, too stupid to undo her fucking belt buckle without putting a hand down, and she won't get out of the fucking car. Big waste of my motherfucking time for trying to be a good motherfucking Samaritan. So now that my days of pulling bitches out of ditches are over, I have retired from that business. It was not a very long-lasting one. Not long after that, I would end up taking my car around the corner from the house where I lived because, you know, like I said, we lived in a nice upscale area. There's a nice flat area right around the corner from my house. However, it was like after maybe, I'd say like a 10-foot hill. It was right after that, it was just flat for like 2 miles. No other fucking houses around. It was just fucking the fucking road and trees on the side, and that's it. And there wasn't even a lot of deer in that area too, which is actually surprising because in Jersey, whenever you see a road and trees on the side, you know that they have a really good chance of plowing into a goddamn motherfucking deer that night. So anyway, I decided to take my car around the corner and practice launching my car because I wanted to take the car to the track. And since this was my first car that had drag radial tires on there, I wanted to make sure that I didn't embarrass myself at the track and when I go ahead and try to launch it and just spin tires like a motherfucker at the track. So what I did was I fucking pulled up, I did my burnout on the back road, I fucking got that shit in fucking first gear, revved that bitch up to 3,500 RPMs, like, fucking slipped that clutch, fucking hit that gas, and I had that 9-inch forward rear in the back, and that shit just grabbed. That shit was like, and then boom! I was like, what the fuck was that? And then I heard clink, 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 clink. Car goes nowhere. Hit the gas, it just revs up, doesn't go nowhere. And I hear more clink, 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 clink. And I was like, I know exactly what the fuck just happened. And what happened was my drive shaft broke. The drive shaft is a shaft that goes in between the transmission to the rear, and it bolts onto the yoke, and it slides into the transmission. And this is what turns the goddamn fucking gears in the rear from the transmission. So this shit broke right in half, just sheared like it was a goddamn piece of paper. And the fucking drive shaft hit the floor of the goddamn car and almost came through the car. And if it did come through the car floor, it probably would have fucked me right in the asshole. That would not be a very good time. So I would end up actually calling my girlfriend to come over and help me push the goddamn car home. Now, since neither one of us could push this goddamn fucking 3,500 pound car up this goddamn hill by ourselves, because like I said, the hill was actually pretty steep. It was like a 10-foot motherfucking hill. And I've pushed cars with other cars using you put a tire in between it and you push bump it, and that way one person just steers and I fucking just ride on the idle of the other car and let it push. It's a very, very slow process to do it without harming any car's paint. But I've done it before. So I told her, I was like, baby, look, this is all you gotta do. Get into my Trans Am, alright? I'm gonna push you home with the Saturn that we had. I was like, look, do not touch anything in the car. Don't touch the shifter. Don't touch the brakes. Don't touch the gas. Don't touch the key. Just steer. All I need you to do is just steer this car and not hit anything. And she's like, alright. So I put the tire in between. I pull the car up. I start idling and I'm pushing it. And we're about halfway up the motherfucking hill. And she slams on the motherfucking brakes. I got out. I was like, what the fuck did you do that for? Because I ended up fucking my own car's bumper in the ass with my other car, and the tire fell out between because she jammed on the goddamn brakes. It jolted, the car rolled back into the other car, and basically I had probably like a 16-inch gash in the goddamn paint on the back of my goddamn car, and I was heartbroken. Why, Randy? Why? So, anyway, I was like, why the fuck would you hit the brakes? And she's crying, and she's going, I hear it making noises. I was like, of course, because the goddamn drive shaft is scraping across the goddamn ground. And now you've just made it totally motherfucking worse. And even though I did yell at her a little bit, I was justified in yelling at her, and it wouldn't end up in any type of fight. We would just end up laughing about this. Years later, we still laugh about this, even though I'm still like, why would you hit the fucking brakes when you're pushing a car with another car? You fucking stupid. So anyway, I had to go ahead and fix this drive shaft, which actually isn't really hard. There's a couple U-joint bolts in the back. You just fucking slip it out of the goddamn yoke, pull it out of the back of the transmission, and since it was broken, I could already just pull it out of the goddamn fucking transmission. All I had to do was undo the fucking bolts, and I had to measure the yoke on the actual rear that bolts to the goddamn fucking drive shaft U-joint. And I was like, it's only going to take 30 seconds, so I would end up jacking the car up with a jack that I bought. It was a low-profile jack. It was called a black jack. It's a yellow and black jack. It's made for really low cars because my car was really fucking low. So I had it underneath there. I was like, you know what? I don't need any jack stands. I'm going to be underneath here for 30 seconds. All I got to do is measure the goddamn yoke distance. That way I make sure that when I order my new drive shaft, I get the right size U-joint on there, because I don't want to have to go and fucking take it to another shop and have them press out the goddamn U-joints and press in a new goddamn fucking U-joint. That is not a very fun fucking process, and it's actually kind of costly. I think it's probably like 50 or 60 bucks at a shop to actually have a U-joint pressed in. So I wanted to avoid all that and make sure that I had everything pretty much covered. And while I'm underneath there measuring, I see the back of the car coming down right on top of me. And I grabbed the back bumper of that car, and I shit you not, I fucked my back up. I just grabbed the fucking rear of the car, and I just pulled myself out with all my fucking arm strength, man. And I dragged myself across the goddamn fucking pavement. I had road rash on my back like you wouldn't fucking believe. But the good news is that I didn't die, because if that kept coming down, the rear of the car would have the pumpkin of the rear would have sat on my chest and fucking killed me. And that was actually probably, I told you I've done a lot of stupid shit in my life. That's probably one of the dumbest shit I ever fucking done in my life. And I will never, ever touch a car while it's jacked up unless there's fucking jack stands underneath there again, because I don't want to be a fucking dumbass. Even if I'm just fucking looking underneath there, man, I'm jack stands all the way, man, every fucking time. If you're gonna work on cars, make sure you do it properly. Don't fucking kill yourself just because you're a little bit too lazy to fucking jack it all the way up and lower it onto some stand. Seriously. Public service announcement. So anyway, for me to get the rest of the fucking drive shaft out of the transmission, it did have custom dual exhaust on this car, so I ended up having to sawzall the exhaust off, fucking pull that off, put the new drive shaft on, and I really wanted to get myself a different exhaust. I wanted to get myself a single Y pipe and a hooker aero chamber exhaust, because I love the way hookers sound. I know that sounds bad, but even on the muffler it says I love hookers. I'm not even lying. Fucking Hooker is a company that's been around forever, and they have great sounding mufflers. So I just wanted to go with a single Y pipe. The fucking true dual exhaust on this car was not only heavy, but it wasn't needed. So I'd end up finding a 3.5-inch Y pipe with a hooker aero chamber exhaust, and I have to go all the way up to Connecticut to trade for it, especially since his exhaust is worth more than mine. Even though mine has 2 MagnaFlow mufflers on it, the pipes on it were a little bit smaller than a 3.5-inch Y pipe, so he had the better end of the trade. Like, I was getting the better exhaust, he was getting a crappier exhaust, so you know, to offset it, I was going all the way up there to fucking, you know, grab the pieces of exhaust and come back. That way it was an even fucking trade. And you know, I drove this car around with no exhaust on it for like a month and a half while I was looking for this fucking exhaust, right? And no cop ever touched me. If you've heard a car without mufflers, without a catalytic converter, it's fucking loud. It is drag car deafening loud. It echoes off every fucking surface that is in the area. It would literally shake your fucking windows going by. And no cops ever fucked with me. 2 days later, after I get my goddamn fucking exhaust on, and it's like nice and quiet, I'd get pulled over for loud exhaust, and the cop would hit me with a ton of fucking tickets. He'd be like, oh, no front license plate on there, you have bald tires. Even though I didn't have bald tires, I had drag radials on the back, which were DOT legal. It just looked like it didn't have any fucking tread. But if you know anything about tires, you know that you measure the distance of you know, how much tread depth you have left on drag radials by the sipes on the side of the goddamn fucking tread. But cops don't know that, so he looked at the middle, he's like, you got bald tires, I'm gonna write you for that. No inspection, I'm gonna write you for that. Loud exhaust, we're gonna write you for that. No catalytic converter, he hit me with like $1,500 worth of motherfucking tickets. What an asshole, right? But the rest of the summer would just be me cruising in my TA, taking it to the track, flipping cars, finding parts in junkyards and selling them online. And later on in that year, in October, one of my buddies who I used to live with in California, he actually convinced me to buy an Xbox 360. That way I can buy the brand new Forza 3 and play it with him online. And like I told you guys, I haven't watched any TV or played any video games in like 8 or 9 years now, up until this point. And I was like, you know what? I can go for a little bit of video games. You know, I'm kind of hanging out here. I'm doing my own thing, working for myself. I'm going to treat myself to a motherfucking Xbox. And Target actually had a really good sale that if you bought a fucking Xbox on that day, you got like a $50 fucking gift card and a free game and shit. So I was like, fuck yeah. I bought that shit. I took that shit home and I set up my Xbox 360 and I sat down. I put in the little code for the Xbox Live and it asked me to make a gamer tag. I chose MorninAfterKill.